If you have seen any of One Piece, then you would know that Oda, the author of One Piece, loves his gags. And of course, he gave all of the Straw Hats a bunch of them. For me, a lot of them hit and a lot of them don't. So today, I will be ranking each Straw Hat's gags. Just warning you guys, this is my personal opinion. But I have my reasons for each ranking, so at least hear me out on them. Alright, first, we got at the bottom, Jinbe. Alright, and guys, I'm not saying I don't like Jinbe. He's cool and he's chilling all, but in terms of gags, he doesn't really have anything. He's kind of like the straight man, and he's still a fun character, just not much of a gag guy. So that automatically knocks him down to the bottom spot in a Straw Hat gag ranking, obviously. Alright, next we got Sanji and the simping gag he has. And I think we all know why he's down here. Fishman Island was so painful to watch, especially as a Sanji fan, because the gag was just going too insane. In other moments too, like in the recent Egghead arc, where he was asking to be Stussy's dog, which is for some reason a moment that Toei, the animation studio, made this moment look way worse than it was in the manga. But whenever I'm comparing any aspects of Sanji with one of my cousins who's a big Zoro fan, and then I put him onto One Piece too, but every time I'm talking about Sanji this, Zoro that, he brings up the dog thing. And what am I even supposed to say? Because Sanji, he was tweaking in that moment. Let's be real, he was kind of weird for that. But honestly, I do think the gag can be funny when it's controlled. In the recent chapter, he had a line and it was something like, oh man, everything weird was going on, and he was like, there's too many dudes around for this to be a dream. That was low-key funny of him. But it just usually goes a little too crazy, a little too often, which is why he's down near the bottom. Next, we got Brooke and his gags of school jokes and then asking to see panties. The school jokes are fire, bro, in my opinion. They're funny and stuff, but the panties thing knocks him down a lot. I've never even chuckled at one of the panty scenes, except maybe when he's asking Big Mom, but that was just because it was such a weird situation. Everything about it was just so absurd. We love the skull jokes, but the panties thing's kind of weird, and the skull jokes, they're not the craziest thing. So he'll escape the bottom, but he's not super high up. Next, we got Nami. And her gag, loving money and stuff, is the kind of gag that's funny at times, but it's never something that will make you love the character or anything. I say the funniest moments with this gag is when it interacts with other characters. When Usopp upgraded her climate-attacked weapon one time, and he was talking about the prices, so he's asking for the money, and then she just uses the climate-attack and she Mirage Tempos out of there. That was pretty funny. So it's a decent gag. So it can sit low middle range of the list. Alright, next we got Chopper and his two gags, which is one was just when he's asking for a doctor when he's the doctor, and then the other is when he's obviously enjoying praise, but he's acting like he doesn't care. The praising thing gag, it was never that funny to me, but it's a cute thing. He's a cute little rascal for that. So it's still a decent gag. The doctor thing is kind of ridiculous, and there have been a lot of funny scenes of him he's freaking out. He's like, oh yo, what are we gonna do? We need a doctor. And he's like, oh wait, I'm the doctor. So he also has a lot of funny side gags, like that scene where they're starving and they're like, man, we're so hungry, and then they look at him and it's like, yeah. And then also him being gullible, Usopp's telling him lies but he's always believing him. Usopp's like, I have 6,000 men, and Chopper's like, that many? Damn. Alright, next we got Frankie. And the gags I'm doing for him that I noticed the most is the crazy haircuts thing in post time skip, and then him crying easily. The crying easily gag is pretty funny, since his outward appearance is usually pretty tough, so it creates a funny little contrast. People be hating on his post time skip design a lot, and I understand why, because it's so different and stuff. But if I'm being honest, I like the haircut stuff he does in post time skip a lot. He got a whale cut, he got a wings cut, he got a gun cut. I don't know how someone couldn't like that all. So he can sit comfortably in this spot, pretty high up on the list, you know. Alright, next on the list, we got Robin. And the gags where she be making dark jokes. And also, like, her imagination stuff is always just so silly. So her dark jokes, things that she says out loud, they're funny because, like, she always says these kind of, like, crazy stuff, but it's like she's saying it so casually. But that's not my favorite thing from her and why I have it so high up. My favorite thing from her is the gags where she imagines things in, like, such a cute and silly, like, cartoonish way. Like, this gag is so silly because she's, like, one of the more serious Straw Hats. So it makes it funny to see how, like, silly her imagination often is and, like, how goofy it is. Like, when she's imagining her and Luffy pedaling and riding on Usopp and Zoro, like, boats, that was funny. Alright, so both are some funny gags, you know. So she gets a pretty high spot in the list. Next, we got my man Luffy. Alright, and he has so many gags, but the three I chose to focus on are him forgetting people's names, him always being, like, super hungry and stuff, and him seeking out danger and adventure and stuff, like, to a crazy degree. The name thing is a funny gag because he's always given, like, characters these silly nicknames, which makes his interactions with those characters a lot more fun. The hunger gag is, like, pretty funny, but it's nothing too crazy since it's in so many other series. Like you read Dragon Ball, you see Goku eating a bunch of stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of other MCs that be eating, like, a bunch of stuff for a gag. But I feel like Luffy eating stuff is funnier than most just because it's such, like, an absurd degree. So it's a lot of goofy scenes and it makes him look a lot of goofy, like he's fat. Alright, anyways, Luffy. The third one I'm talking about is Luffy being super attracted to danger. And it becomes a funny gag because of how aware his crewmates are of this trait of his, which makes a lot of fun scenes where his crewmates are trying to hide the news of, like, danger from him because they know that if he hears about it, he's gonna, like, make them all charge straight into it, the whole gang. So they're like, oh, we gotta hide it from him, you know. The main thing with Luffy though is that he's so funny in general. Like, so of course I gotta have him high up on this list where I'm talking about the funny gags. But since he doesn't got a specific gag, like, that's why he caps out at the number 3 spot. If it was funny in general, he's taking top 1 in the whole series. Next in the 2 spot, it's Usopp. Alright, and his gags that I'm talking about is he's lying a lot, and also he's a negative coward. So the lying gag is usually funny, especially because we got characters like Chopper that actually fall for a lot of these absurd lies. The being a negative coward gag is one of my favorites because it brought us one of the funniest fights in the series with the Usopp versus Perona fight in Thriller Bark. In that arc, I was wondering, like, how's anyone gonna beat Perona since she makes people so negative that they lose their will to fight? And then when Perona's negative hollows didn't work on Usopp because he's already so negative, that was, like, such a funny moment. And then one of the funniest parts of that fight is, like, even Perona is trying to cheer him up, like, cheer up, man, life's not all bad, like, mid-fight, which is, like, it just makes everything so funny, you know. So overall, Usopp, he's a pretty funny rascal guy. He got good gags and stuff, so gets him 2 spot. Also, there's little stuff that I dislike about his gags, you know. Although sometimes the cowardice gets a little annoying, but he's still funny enough. He gets 2. Finally, in the top spot, we got Zoro and his gag of being lost all the time and getting lost easily. So, of course, the gag is, like, funny in the anime, and it gives us a lot of funny scenes of him getting lost in, like, absurd situations, and then he's getting stuck in crazy places. But the main reason why this gag takes the top spot is because of how iconic it is. Like, in the community, it's well known, but even outside of One Piece fans, I feel like this gag is pretty well known, you know? It's also really funny to see how One Piece fans make their own jokes with the Zoro getting lost gag and play off of it. Like, they put him into edits of different series because he, like, got lost. So, like, they'll make something of another series, but they'll just include Zoro as, like, an Easter egg because, like, aha, he got lost and stuff, you know. So it's a funny gag, but the way people in the community play with it really makes it get that top spot for me. Well, that's my personal ranking of every Straw Hats gag. Do you guys think I ranked any gags too low or too high? Well, if you think that, then comment down below, bub. Also, like and subscribe if you're down, because I'm trying to get monetized and make some dubious money. Anyways, stay tuned for more videos, because I'm gonna try like getting pretty consistent uploads from now on. So bye guys, and thanks for watching.